What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today it is part 1 of tearing apart the EJ205 for the Lemons WRX build. I've never done this before, so anything that I do, just take it with a grain of salt. If you see something that I'm doing wrong, please let me know in the comments below, because I need to learn things. And I'm just going to take my time on this to make sure I label everything, put it all away properly. The cylinder 3 has a little bit lower compression. That's why we're mainly tearing this thing apart. Doing some gaskets on it. The valve cover gaskets we know are leaking. And we just want to double check everything so we can make sure it is in tip-top shape for the race. So let's go ahead and get going. So the first thing I'm going to do is take off the timing belt cover. We just want to make sure timing belt's in good repair, and if we need to replace it, we can go ahead and order one. There's some 10mm bolts around this piece. I believe it comes off in a few different sections. I really have done a little bit of research on how to tear apart these motors, but I really just try to play it by ear and just learn some things as we go. So here's the timing belt right here, as you can see. Doesn't look too bad. There's not any apparent cracking in it or just any signs of strenuous wear on it. So I think we'll be good on the timing belt. So the bolts for the inner piece here are different than the ones from the outer, so just keep that in mind. And I believe the crank pulley will have to come off before this inner timing belt cover comes off as well. So next I'm going to go ahead and remove the accessory belt and all this stuff here, alternator, all that good crap. Just get that out of the way. Here's kind of my setup of keeping everything organized. I got little baggies, got bins, stuff like that, Sharpie, little pieces of paper. Also duct tape to wrap around like hoses, and then write on the duct tape. So we'll be good on that. Just, take your bolts, throw them back, label it, and you're good to go. Also, another good thing is to take out your iPhone and snap a bunch of pictures of the motor, how it is before you start tearing everything apart, so you know how to put it back together. Now I'm going to go for this tension right here. It's a 12mm. There she goes. There's the belt. Looks to be in pretty decent shape overall. We'll probably go and reuse that. There's the alternator. The bolt I took out from the tensioner, I'm going to go ahead and put it back so I know where it goes for a reinstall. Next, I'm going to try to take off this intake manifold here. I'm going to go ahead and start with the 10mm bolts that are obviously bolting the 4 corners in, and we're going to go from there. Also, I'm going to go ahead and take off the, I believe this is like the water tank or the coolant reservoir that sends it to the turbo back here. So like I said, never done this before. I'm still new to this. Take it easy on me. Let me know for sure what this thing is called. Let me go ahead and remove that. Well, actually, it might be able to come off with it, but you have to disconnect some hoses from it so it can be free along with the intake manifold. There's another hose here in the back underneath the throttle body you have to take off. I think I'm just going to go ahead and pull the throttle body with it. This thing will cooperate. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and take off this little reservoir. I think I need to do that. It's definitely a 12. And there's another hose on the bottom here connecting it to, I'm guessing, the cooling system. Ooh, ooh. Alright, there's that. I'm going to go ahead and keep these little bolts in the top so I'll know where they go. Along with these hoses, set up on the table. And the back of the intake manifold, I say the back, yeah, I guess, yeah, the back part, the flywheel's here, alternator's here. Back there is a nut here, and I believe on the other side there's like a nut on the inside. I'm not sure if that's stock or if whenever somebody took it off they just didn't have the right hardware or anything, because there's 2 bolts, and there's a bolt, and there's a nut. On this side there's a bolt and then a nut, and then 2 bolts. No, I think there's a nut and a bolt. Just keep in mind where the nuts and versus the bolts, where they all go, so you'll know where to put them back. There's also 2 screws in between the 2 intake manifold cylinders here. Just make sure you take your time, don't strip anything. So this here's one of the little bolts out of the intake manifold. As you can tell, there's a nut on the top and there's threads on both sides. I believe this was supposed to be like a stud, and this nut's just rusted on so much it just took out the stud from whatever's underneath the intake manifold. So just keep that in mind as you undo things, that you just make sure you remember where everything goes, because that is definitely key. So I went ahead and did all those bolts. I believe there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 bolts total along the outside edges and in the middle of the intake manifold. Undid all those. Now I'm going to go ahead and undo this air intake bolt that holds on the air intake out here. Undo that and undo some of the clips from the wiring harnesses, from the wiring harness to the sensors. Little it's like vacuum lines, just little stuff like that, like this along the edges and stuff here in the middle. Just kind of pull it all off. Just make sure you remember where it goes. Take your pictures beforehand. And then I'm going to try to wiggle it off, see what's holding it on, and go from there. Oh, forgot something. On top you'll see the fuel system here. I just forgot to go ahead and disconnect this one bolt that holds on this little assembly that will be able to just kind of pop off and let the, hopefully let the intake manifold come up as it stays with the motor. Hoping that I don't have to remove this whole fuel rail system, but it looks like I might have to, just to be able to get it up and over the fuel hard lines right here. Might have to take all these out and disconnect it from a hose underneath the intake manifold. And go ahead and disconnect your fuel injectors if you haven't already. Ooh, it hurt. That one hurt. So there are a lot of water hoses that go into the throttle body. I believe that's for like the emissions deal and just to heat it up or something like that. So make sure you disconnect all the lines before you try to rip the intake manifold off. I don't think I actually have to disconnect all these fuel lines. I might be able to work my way up above them just by kind of finessing it around. Come on. What a joke. Alright, so almost have the intake manifold off. It's this fuel line right here. For one, I wasn't able to get this off when we pulled the motor, so I don't know, I might have to look up how to get this one off. It was giving me a little bit of trouble. But I went ahead and pulled part of the little fuel system here. Try not to bend anything too much because that kind of weakens the rigidity of it. But I'm just trying to work my way around these hard fuel lines here to get it off. Come on, come on, come on. Yeah, boy. So a little update on it here. Just got the intake manifold off. Wasn't too hard besides these little fuel lines that are giving me little issues. What I kind of did was try not to bend it too much, but since I was having a hard time getting this little line off, I bent this section just a little bit out, and I was able to kind of slip it up and over through the hole in the intake manifold back there. I already took off the gaskets and stuff. Looks pretty solid overall. Now I think I'm actually going to go ahead and take the fuel injectors out, and so we'll be able to clean those out, make sure they're all good to go on both sides. This side's a little bit more complex, just like fuel regulator, fuel pressure regulator, all that good stuff over here. Also going to get some of these wiring harnesses out here, these wiring connectors I should say. Disconnect all that since the intake manifold's out of the way, and I have a little bit better access to them, and just kind of free up some space. Probably going to get this, I'll also get this air intake tube out of here, disconnect it from the turbo back there, and just take it one step at a time. Since I've already taken off the intake manifold, I'm going to go ahead and get my phone out again and take some more pictures since more stuff's exposed and more stuff that I will be taking off. We'll be able to see it. So I'm going to go ahead and snap a lot more pictures so I'll make sure put everything back in the right place. Come on! Oh, don't strip it, please. So on the passenger side of the motor here, I believe this is the fuel pressure regulator or something like that. The fuel lines that run back toward the other side, there is the hard line bolts to the motor itself. So it's a little 12 millimeter bolt. Pop that off. Oh yeah, just really easy, simple. Just have a towel in hands when you pop those fuel injectors out. There will be some gas that pours out of them, which is always fun. And to disconnect the air intake line from the turbo, it's a little 10 millimeter hose clamp that goes into the cold side of the turbo there. On these little clips right here behind the turbo, I believe these are the little one-time use ones, so I'm gonna go and snip these off. I'll have to get some replacement ones that are of some good quality that can hold it good. There it is. Just unplugged, good job. Good job. Okay, that's something you learn. You don't have to take this off, it just unplugs right here. Here she comes. So when we drove this car, we noticed that it wasn't quite getting to boost. Like it really felt like the turbo wasn't even on the motor. So we were like, there's must be like a little boost leak or vacuum leak or something like that. And check out what I just found. So on this air intake pipe, this is the turbo side right here. Can you see that daylight through that hole? There you go, you can see it. And that is on the inside of that hose clamp. So I'm guessing that could definitely be a source of where we're losing some power. And I think it's just from this hose clamp just poking through this rubber and just kind of deteriorating. Like I can even just bend it with my hand. So definitely try to find another one of these somewhere around town for the cheap. You know, stuff like that is why we're tearing this thing apart. Find little things like that. I'm gonna go ahead and take some blue painter's tape or masking tape and cover up these holes here, the four, because you do not want debris getting down in there. First, I'm gonna go ahead and clean this off a little bit so the tape will actually stick. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and just finish off taking out all this wiring mess. There's a few more plugs here and there that I need to get to, and then it should be able to come out as one piece. Now that I got all the wiring out, I'm gonna go ahead and try to take out the fuel rails and all the fuel system out in one piece. And it should be pretty simple now. I might have to take out this sensor here, whatever this is. And yeah, it's going very well so far. Two 10mm bolts should come out. Don't careful with it. Remove the fuel system carefully. Ooh, there's gas. I'm gonna go ahead and put it back so that those little teeth don't get messed up. Oh, it's peeing out gas. There's another bolt on this side. Is right down here, right on the other side of the oil fill cap. Looks like a little 12mm. Boom. So I went ahead and took that bolt out. I'm gonna go ahead and put it back so I know where it goes. Here's another thing I found. This little sensor here is cracked. I'm not exactly sure what this is. I'll look into it. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. But that's why we're doing this, you know? Next, I'm just gonna go ahead and take the alternator bracket off. There's a bolt here, bolt back here, and I already took off the one here. That looks like I think it's a 13mm. So I'm just gonna take those two off. Get that out of the way. It's always reassuring when you find random bolts just stuck down in your motor, right? Sure, that's a good sign. Let me go ahead and show you what all I've taken off for the day. So this is what I've taken off: alternator, timing belt, cover, the accessory belt, the air intake hose, the turbo thingy, intake manifold, of course, little reservoir for the water. Here are the bags that I've labeled. You know, got them going here. I need to get some more, but here are the fuel injectors that came with them. If you know what fuel injectors these are, if you recognize them, please let me down in the comments, because I have no clue unless it says on there. It says DENSO on the side, DENSO. So let me know what you guys think of those, if they're any good, and do I need to get some different ones of those. Also, fuel rail systems back here. Just keeping it all lined up where I know where everything goes, and also going to label some more stuff just to double check. Next time I'm working this thing, I believe I'm going to do the valve covers and just some of the stuff on top, probably this pulley, the water lines and stuff like that. Maybe the turbo, pull that off next time. But made good progress on this thing today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the builds. This thing's gonna be sick. I'm so pumped for it. Can't wait to get it out on the track. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care.